Picture this. You're just sitting at home, having your morning coffee, and suddenly your phone lights up. You glance down, and the caller ID flashes a name you absolutely recognize. It says Microsoft Support, or, maybe Apple. Your heart kind of skips a beat, right? You definitely weren't expecting them to call. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're dissecting the anatomy of a tech support scam. As a local tech professional, I literally see panicked clients walking into my shop with this exact scenario every single week. We're going to plunge right into how these operations work, step by step, so you can spot the trap before it snaps shut. So, you answer, and let's put you right in the hot seat here. Think about what you'd expect a scammer to sound like. Manic? Super aggressive? Well, the terrifying reality is that the voice on the other end of the line sounds perfectly calm, very professional. In fact, they might even sound almost bored, like they've literally done this 1,000 times today. And then, they drop the bomb. They tell you there's a virus on your machine. They say hackers have been inside your files for days. And suddenly, that panic, it really starts to set in.
All right, Section 1, the scam calls setup, and exactly how they set the trap.
So the caller says, hey, don't worry, we can handle this together. I just need you to do one simple thing to fix it. Now, what makes this so incredibly dangerous is that there's no obvious red flag here, right? You aren't staring at some shady email completely full of typos. You're just listening to a helpful-sounding person who claims they want to protect you. But what they're actually doing is asking for the literal keys to your digital life.
And those keys? They come in the form of remote access. This is the ultimate point of no return. They'll politely guide you to download a seemingly harmless tool. But I need to define this starkly for you. The second you install that remote tool and hand over control, a complete stranger can see everything. Your screen, your personal files, your saved passwords, the whole shebang. And here's the truly chilling part. Once they're in, they never want to leave.
Moving on to part 2, the hard truth. Let's look at reality versus expectation. We all kind of want to believe this comforting myth of proactive tech support, right? We think our antivirus software is just sitting there actively watching our screen, waiting to dial our personal cell phone number the absolute second something looks weird. But the reality? Microsoft did not call you. Apple didn't call you. Real security software has never, ever asked you to pick up a phone. The reality is simply a scammer waiting in a boiler room for you to pick up the line. So, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is Rule 1. Real companies do not call you first. Period. If your phone rings and someone claims to be from a tech support department that you didn't contact yourself, the call itself is the scam. It doesn't even matter what they say next. And by the way, the exact same rule applies to those terrifying pop-ups that suddenly lock your computer screen and scream at you to call a toll-free number right now. The alert is fake. The number just goes straight to the scammer. Let's dive into part 3, the scammer's playbook, and their 4 steps to steal.
Here's their extremely predictable 4-step playbook. Step 1 is panic. They tell you your data is being stolen this very second. Their initial goal is to use pure fear to literally shut down the logical part of your brain that would normally stop and think. Step 2 is remote access, which we just covered. This is that catastrophic moment you hand over control. Step 3 is strange payment. Once they supposedly fix the fake problem, they demand compensation. And step 4 is isolation. Let's look a bit closer at those last 2 steps, because they are fascinating. So, they'll politely ask you to pay them, but they're going to ask for gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency. I want to remind you, no legitimate business on planet Earth operates by asking you to run down to the grocery store and pay them in Google Play cards. It's just not a thing. If you hear that, the call is over. It's a scam. They just don't know you've caught them yet.
Then we hit phase 4, the sneaky one, isolation. Have you ever noticed how fast a scammer talks? They use this rapid-fire script designed specifically to keep you off balance. They'll heavily discourage you from hanging up the phone. Why? Well, because they absolutely do not want you opening a new tab on your computer and calling the real company to verify the issue. They know that the very moment you step out of their little isolated bubble and verify the facts, the entire scam just falls apart.
So let's get into part 4, your defense strategy, and exactly how to protect yourself.
As a tech professional, this is the advice I give to literally everyone. The single most effective thing you can do? Hang up. I know it sounds simple, but social pressure makes it so hard. We're trained to be polite, right? But listen to me carefully. You do not owe a complete stranger on the phone a single second of politeness. If it feels wrong, if they called you out of the blue, just firmly end the call. Put the phone down.
Let's reinforce the golden rules here. First, never let someone who called you first onto your computer. Ever. There are 0 exceptions to this rule. Second, if you're genuinely worried that something might actually be wrong with your account, verify everything on your own terms. Look up the real number for Microsoft or Apple or your bank yourself using a separate device and call them directly. You take the power back.
All right, part 5, damage control. What to do if you actually get scammed.
Listen, if you realize you already fell for it, don't panic. Just execute these rapid-fire steps immediately. 1. Disconnect the internet right now. Unplug the cable, turn off the Wi-Fi. Cut their connection immediately. 2. Run a full virus scan with your legitimate security software. 3. Change your passwords, but crucially, and this is important, do it from a completely different device, like your smartphone, so they can't log your keystrokes. And 4. Call your bank immediately if any money moved or if you exposed financial info. Stop the bleeding and secure your money.
I want to make one thing crystal clear before we wrap up. Scam calls are not going away. In fact, they're evolving. They're getting better. These operations are highly sophisticated. They use spoofed caller IDs so it genuinely looks like a trusted company. They use real logos in their pop-ups. Their scripts have been polished and tested on thousands of victims before they ever dialed your number. Absolutely no one, not even tech experts, is entirely immune to being targeted.
Which brings us to our final thought. The absolute best protection you can have isn't some magical software app you can download. It's exactly what we just did today. It's knowing their pattern, knowing their playbook before your phone ever rings. Because the next time it does, and trust me, for sure it will, you'll already know exactly what's happening. So I leave you with this. When they call, will you be ready? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Stay safe out there.